From Pacifica, this is Democracy Now!
When you start making an honest assessment of what we have done in the world, they say you're being unpatriotic. Patriotism is not supporting the government. Patriotism is supporting the principles that the government is supposed to stand for.
Howard Zinn, today an hour with the legendary historian, author of People's History of the United States, speaking about war and social justice. It's his first address following the 2008 presidential election. All that and more coming up. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Howard Zinn is one of this country's most celebrated historians. His classic work, A People's History of the United States, changed the way we look at history in America. First published a quarter of a century ago, the book has sold over 1 million copies and is a phenomenon in the world of publishing, selling more copies each successive year. After serving as a bombardier pilot in World War II, Howard Zinn went on to become a lifelong dissident and peace activist. He was active in the civil rights movement and many of the struggles for social justice over the past half-century. He taught at Spelman College, the historically black college for women in Atlanta, and was fired for insubordination for standing up for the women. Howard Zinn has written numerous books. He's professor emeritus at Boston University. He recently spoke at Binghamton University, upstate New York, a few days after the 2008 presidential election. His speech was called War and Social Justice.
Why is all the political rhetoric limited? Why is the set of solutions given to social and economic issues so cramped and so short of what is needed, so short of what the Universal Declaration of Human Rights demands? And yes, Obama, who obviously is more attuned to the needs of people than his opponent. Obama, who is more farsighted, more thoughtful, more imaginative. Why has he been limited in what he's saying? Why hasn't he come out for what is called a single-payer system in health care? Why didn't you see, you all know what the single-payer system is. It's a sort of awkward term for it, maybe. It doesn't explain what it means, but a single-payer health system means, well, it'll be sort of run like Social Security. It'll be a government system. It won't depend on intermediaries, on middle people, on insurance companies. You won't have to fill out forms and pay, and figure out whether you have a pre-existing medical condition. You won't have to go through that rigmarole which has kept 40 million people out of having health insurance. No. Something happens, you just go to a doctor, you go to a hospital, you're taken care of. Period. The government will pay for it. Yeah, the government will pay for it. That's what governments are for. Governments, they do that for the military. Do you know that? That's what the military has. The military has free insurance. I was once in the military. I got pneumonia, which is easier to get in the military. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to fool around with deciding what health plan I'm in or what, No, I was totally taken care of. I didn't have to think about money. Just, there's 1 million members of the armed forces who have that. But when you ask that the government do this for everybody else, they cry, that's socialism. Well, if that's socialism, it must mean socialism is good. No, I was really gratified when Obama called for let's tax the rich more and let's tax the poor and middle class less. And he said, that's socialism. I thought, whoa, I'm happy to hear that. Finally, socialism is getting a good name, You know, socialism has been given bad names, you know, Stalin and all those socialists, so-called socialists. They weren't really socialists, but, you know, they called themselves socialists, but they weren't really, you see. And so socialism got a bad name. It used to have a really good name. Here in the United States, the beginning of the 20th century, before there was a Soviet Union to spoil it, you see, socialism had a good name. Millions of people in the United States read socialist newspapers. They elected socialist members of Congress and socialist members of state legislatures. You know, there were like 14 socialist chapters in Oklahoma. Really. I mean, you know, socialism, who stood for socialism? Eugene Debs, Helen Keller, Emma Goldman, you know, Clarence Darrow, Jack London, Upton Sinclair. Yeah, socialism had a good name. It needs to be restored. And so, but Obama, with all of his goodwill, intelligence, all those qualities that he has, and so on, and you know, you feel that he has a certain instinct for people in trouble, but still, you know, he wouldn't come out for a single-payer health system. That is for what I would call health security, to go along with Social Security, you see. Wouldn't come out for that. Wouldn't come out for the government creating jobs for millions of people, because that's what really is needed now. You see, when people are, the newspapers this morning report highest unemployment in decades, right? The government needs to create jobs. Private enterprise is not going to create jobs. Private enterprise fails. The so-called free market system fails again and again. When the Depression hit in the 1930s, Roosevelt and the New Deal created jobs for millions of people. Oh, there were people on the, you know, out there on the fringe who yelled socialism. Didn't matter. People needed it. If people need something badly and somebody does something for them, you can throw all the names you want at them. It won't matter, you see. But that was needed in this campaign. Yes. Instead of Obama and McCain joining together, I know some of you are maybe annoyed that I'm being critical of Obama, but that's my job. That's a, you know, as a, you know, I like him, I'm for him, I want him to do well, I'm happy he won, I'm delighted he won, but I'm a citizen. I have to speak my mind, okay? Yeah. And, you know, but when I saw Obama and McCain sort of both together supporting the $700 billion bailout, I thought, uh-oh, no, please don't do that. Please, Obama, step aside from that. Do what, I'm sure something in your instincts must tell you that there's something wrong with giving $700 billion to the same financial institutions which ruined us. We got us into this mess. Something wrong with that, you see. And it's not even politically viable. That is, you can't even say, oh, I'm doing it because people will then vote for me. No. It was very obvious when the $700 billion bailout was announced that the majority of people in the country were opposed to it. Instinctively, they said, something is wrong with this. Why give it to them? We need it. That's what the government, Obama should have been saying, no, let's take that $700 billion. Let's give it to people who can't pay their mortgages. Let's create jobs, you know. Instead of pouring $700 billion into the top and hoping that it will trickle down to the bottom. No, go right to the bottom where people need it and get. So yes, that was a disappointment. So I'm trying to indicate what we'll have to do now. And and to fulfill what Obama himself has promised, change, real change. You can say change.